So what tips do you have for us to break through the clutter when we are pitching our news?
So my advice for this is always the same as I give to reporters themselves who want to break stories, which is you always want to establish relationships before you need them. And this is true for beat reporters who want to get information from sources, but it's also true for Flax. I hope that's not disparaging. I'm just using it as shorthand. Okay, so it's also true for Flax, right? Because um, the relationships that I have with sort of people from the PR side that are the strongest are the ones where we got to know each other in a totally different context, not a context in which they needed to pitch me a story, right? I think Hannah is a good example. I think I got to know Hannah just independently and not from anything that Hannah was ever working on or a client or anything like that, right? But I know that if she were to call me and say like, hey, this is a thing that's important and I want to get the word out about it, I would be much more likely to say, like, to not only take her call, but see how I could help or funnel her to the right person because our relationship existed outside of just a transactional one. So my advice is, if you can like build relationships, that's more important than like just whatever is at hand. I think that's true of Merrick too, right? So Merrick and I got to know each other when he was working on the LG account. And but they reached out to me irrespective of making a pitch. I think they just called and said, hey, let's get Korean barbecue. And I never turned down Korean barbecue. And so, but after that, I had known them, we had already had lunch together. And so, and then when I needed something, when I was like, hey, I'm working on this thing and what's LG making, then I could go to LG and I knew who to call, but then they also had that relationship with me.
Cool. Merrick, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to chime in and say, yeah, I think we built up a great two-way street relationship over there in Seoul, but I think part of and I was going to say, as someone, Liz, who has successfully pitched Elise, talk about either like robots or K-pop, and you've got her on board.
True.
Yeah, that's the other thing you can remember, right? Like every reporter has their own sort of interests. If you follow them on Twitter or follow them or on Instagram, wherever they hang out socially, you'll kind of know what their tendencies are and their preferences are, and that's a way to sort of work your journalism.